I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities of Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Today, we're going to review the album Light by Kishi Bashi, or Ishibashi, which is the guy's actual name, but he goes by Kishi Bashi, which is totally clever, nice work, because that's, what else could it possibly be?
Yeah.
He realized that his name is actually a good moniker for an
There you go, that's all you need.
This guy is a touring member of Montreal. He's been doing a lot of work with string instruments for a long time and just overall pop music fanatic. And his second studio album, Light, is definitely pop fanaticism, I would say. I mean, this album is just, I would call this electronic pop mixed with a lot of string melodies and really almost in that same vein of like Phoenix and of Montreal, vocal melodies and a lot of vocal harmonies as well. So there's a lot of just very bright, aesthetically pleasing sounds here. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Tom, what was your take on Light's sound?
Well, if there was one word I would use to describe it, it would be colorful. And that's not just a pun on the album name either. I mean, this thing, just you listen to it and just so much stuff is seeping out of the mix. So many little flutters of strings, as you said, electronic melodies.
Plucked strings upon played strings. Like
very much so. Almost like a more electro-pop Andrew Bird at times.
Absolutely.
But the guy just has a great knack for melody. His vocals, not only his voice, but also just the way he writes melodies, actually reminds me a lot of James Mercer of the Shins. And I got that vibe a lot.
I totally did too. That's fair.
You know, the Shins have this kind of like, almost kind of like self-loathing vibe to them at times. So despite
almost
the fact,
pompous too.
Yeah, despite the fact that you can, they can be kind of poppy and upbeat as well. But this is pure pop upbeat. I mean, there are some more kind of introspective moments. You have a good kind of love ballad on here with Q&A, track 7, but it's still just
picked.
Yeah,
it's a very well-written song.
Very much so, and it's very uplifting. This whole thing sounds like it could have been like the soundtrack to a more not adult themed, but adult geared like Disney film or something, which is actually
it could make for an interesting adult film soundtrack.
Which, when I throw Disney in there, it feels like it kind of cheapens it. But I think once you listen to the record, you'll know what I mean. It's just a feel good record. It just brings you back to a youthful time.
Now, was your Disney reference referring to the last track in Fantasia?
Actually, no, but that is a very good point.
Yes, the last track is over 7 minutes long. It's kind of this just very beautiful epic. It's the moodiest track on the album, and
Definitely
I think does a great job of wrapping the album up. This album, one thing I have to give Kishi Bashi is that there are no adherences to corporate music and pop structures and things that we just naturally encounter in pop music are rarely used on this record. There are a couple songs that rely more on verse-chorus structures, but it's not a predominant reliance. Throughout the album, you see Kishi Bashi experimenting with song structure a little bit to add new parts into different sections of the songs to transition the song, and it's just very experimental in nature. Yeah,
I think that's one of the most shining just aspects of this album is that any moment sounds very pop. Right. The sound aesthetic that the palette is using, the production style, very much pop. But from a compositional and songwriting and song structure standpoint, it's really not very poppy. When it comes down to it, it adheres more to just kind of like just a good free form, free flowing kind of mood and kind of structure and setup.
And it really drives me crazy because when I first listened to this, I was like, man, this guy sounds just like the vocalist from Phoenix, which Phoenix has gained just a huge amount of popularity, and I just feel like they are totally overrated. Yeah. Just a personal opinion, just throwing that out there. But Kishi Bashi, like, I feel like deserves the hype that Phoenix gets because it's like all the things you like about Phoenix that you want to like without any of the negative aspects, and a lot of just really high quality songwriting. The string performances on this record are just fantastic, and usually there's multiple layers of string instruments going on at any given time, whether it's plucked or played strings. I'm impressed, and really there's only one other artist, and that's Andrew Bird, that I've ever been that impressed with strings on. We've reviewed a lot of string artists lately with Broken Twin and Owen Pallett, and this impresses me more than that, and it's a totally different aesthetic of music.
It definitely is, and kind of along with that, one thing that really impressed me about it is that while you have the strings, which are a really great aspect of this record, and And the other dominating aspect of this record, I would say, are the vocals. But the two work well together. They can trade off. You know, anytime he's singing, I feel like the vocals just grab my attention. They take center stage. They're what the focal point is for me. But that doesn't mean that the whole album relies on it, because where his other strengths lie, he's good enough at them to let them take center stage, let the string playing take center stage when the vocals aren't going, and so on. So I feel like those kind of choices really just show a very apt songwriter and composer. He knows where his strengths are, he knows how to let them play off of each other and kind of take turns in the limelight.
He also did a very good job of making sure that this was an album listening experience. This thing does not feel like a track-by-track based album, a smorgasbord compilation of any kind. There's a couple of instrumental tracks that serve as transitions, called them the impromptu tracks. He has two tracks at the end, Ha 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 Part 1 and 2, tracks 9 and 10, that actually flow as one piece of music that's about 6, almost 7 minutes long. So you're really ending the record with two 7-minute pieces of music. And throughout the album, he's able to do a variety of different styles. You know, one track, Carry On Phenomenon, track 4, probably the most poppy track on the record. But man, the chorus in that is so powerful with the harmonized vocals and everything. It just has a very steady, you know, that electronic beat. But there's a number of songs here that have a variety of styles, and so he's giving you good variety and changing up the song structure and still making it an album listen. I mean, that kind of is most of what we're always asking artists to do for us, and so I have to give this guy props. Now, I am not Tom. Let's go ahead and just do our scores. What are you giving this?
I'm giving it even 80.
Okay, I'm going to do that as well. Why are you not giving this higher?
Really just because, you know, that's a very good question, because if we're not giving something a perfect 100, there has to be something we didn't love about it.
And we just sang a lot of this album's praises.
Yeah, we really did. For me, it comes down to a little bit of displacement. I really favored the front half of the album.
Fair.
And that's not to say that the last half isn't good. You know, the good qualities are what brought it up to an 80 for me, even in that back half. But I just feel like it's a little unevenly weighted. You know, you picked In Fantasia, the last track, as a track pick, and I did like that track. But being that it's 7 minutes long, you know, you take that compared to some of the shorter track lengths, I don't think it quite accomplishes as much as like 2 of the 3-minute tracks put together. And on a short album where it's between 30 and 40 minutes, I have to kind of pay attention to the way that that each song represents a percentage of time on the album.
And you're absolutely right. Just judging by our track picks alone, most of our track picks are in the front half of the record, so that kind of automatically says that this is a front-heavy album. There was one track that I wouldn't say I truly disliked it, but I just didn't think it was on par with the rest of them, and that was track 8, Once Upon a Lucid Dream in Afrikaans. I did not feel that track was up to, it's a fine track, but it doesn't have that just vivid aesthetic and upbeat feel that the rest of the album did. And so that kind of brought it down. It took the perfect element away. The other aspect of this record is that this is a relatively saturated genre right now. Electro pop, with the aforementioned bands that we've said in this review. I mean, I feel like that this is a pretty saturated market, and Kishi Bashi really isn't doing all that much other than doing it awesome to make it his own, to make it original. And that's a little bit unfair, because one of the bands he mentioned he's a part of. But at the same time, I hope I convey that, you know, its originality is so important in music in 2014 and the years to come. You know, we have decades and decades of pop and rock music and of modern contemporary music, what we call music today. You have to find ways, artists have to find ways of making it sound original. And you have to go to extreme lengths to do that at times, and I just would wish that there was a tad bit more originality on Light. However, this is a great album. If you like Phoenix, like of Montreal's poppier, less indie work, definitely go out and listen to Light and leave us a comment telling us what your feedback was at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic, where you're probably watching this. Also, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and let Tom or I know if there's any records you'd like to see us review on this channel. I am Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.